What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, man. My man Andre Ward and Carl Froch's words, war of words continue, this time over the retirement of St. George Groves. Now, I'm talking about this for two reasons. One, I'm a huge fan of Andre Ward. And I'm actually a fan of Carl Froch too. And I like George Groves. Now, I wasn't that big a fan of George Groves until this last year, where he really, I think he ended up his career, man, in a really, really nice way by winning the WBA title, and then beating Jamie Cox and Chris Eubank Jr. in I think that's the quarterfinals and the semifinals of the World Boxing Super Series. I actually think he beat Chutinov for the WBA title, but that coming after, having, some pretty devastating losses back in 2013, 2014 to Carl Froch. So, whenever there's a fighter that I really like, man, I want to do a video, man, and, hats off to him, for a great career. Even the fight over with Badu Jack was a good fight. The dude grew on me over the years, man. However, man, I want to talk about this back and forth about what Carl Froch said about him and Andre Ward said about Carl Froch. And just tell you, man, no matter how old you get, man, cats can be real, real petty. Now, before I do that, though, I want to welcome you back to the channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos, and also when we do the live streams. We do our live streams right around 10:15 a.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. And also, please check out accept my invitation, check out the Patreon page, man. We're loading up a lot of videos like on social issues, things we usually talk about towards the end of the live streams, but we're moving over into that platform for young men in America that or young black men in America or overseas that are looking to, to become more productive members of society. So that's what we're going to do over there. Now, let me say something about Carl Froch, man. Carl Froch is an excellent boxer. He really, really is, man. He had some real good wins in his career, obviously beating George Groves, beating Miguel Kessler, beating Miguel Kessler in the rematch. Excellent, excellent fighter, man. But this is one of the more petty dudes. He's just a jerk, man. Now, I say when I call him a jerk, man, I'm calling him a jerk saying, man, there's a lot of guys. I had some of the best friends I ever had were jerks. They just say what's on their mind, man, and it's like they almost can't help themselves, man. They've always got like a kind of a negative, snarky attitude. But hey, man, that's just their personality, man. I don't really think that George Groves harbors really any animosity towards people. I just think the dude's a jerk, man. So this is what he says, man. This is what he says about the retirement of George Groves. He said, "I won't miss him, and I'm not sure the British boxing will miss him these days, at least." There was nothing left out there for him. He lost to Callum Smith, who is now top of the super welterweight world, and it wasn't like it was a close or controversial defeat. He was conclusively beaten, and there was never going to be a rematch. Smith is now in the new super middleweight scene where the champions are big, strong, young, and fresh. I can't see there being anything out there for Groves to bother with. Yes, he could wait around and fight the winner of James DeGale and Chris Eubank, but what's the point? He's just beaten Eubank Jr., and the first fight with DeGale was so long ago, I'm not sure even George could get up for that. I'm not even sure even George could get up for that. Now, Ward, who beat the tar out of the Cobra, responds and says, this dude is the biggest hater. You're over 40, bro. Let it go. The arrogance is off the charts. Man, hilarious. Look, there's just some people in this world who are just jerks. And Carl Froch is one of them. Carl Froch, always has, from when I listen to him, and I don't really try to listen to him too much, man, because like I said, I know people like that. And they're always going to have something snotty to say. They're, you could tell them, you could ask me, hey, how you feeling today? Yeah, I'm all right. Just if you ever watch, there's a show, Curb Your Enthusiasm, with this guy, Larry David, who is the creator for the Seinfeld show, man. But he just walks around and always got something nasty. Just always got something nasty to say. Always has something offbeat and just can't give anybody, can't be happy. That's the saying of the show. Curb your enthusiasm. Like, don't be so happy. And that's Carl Froch, man. It's a shame that there are people in the world who just perpetually want to be unhappy, but Carl Froch seems to be one of those guys. Now, the irony of this, though, is for the first time, man, I gotta say to Andre Ward, hey, man, let's not be too hypocritical, man, because this isn't too far off of what Andre Ward said about Deontay Wilder after the fight with Tyson Fury. And what Andre Ward said was, look, he thought Tyson Fury won the fight, and he said that he didn't think that that Deontay Wilder was going to want to run that back, right? Like he was just going to take his draw and go off and run somewhere and hide, right? So, man, I thought that was mighty unfair. Now, could you call Andre Ward a hater for that? Say, hey, man, come on, dude, you're retired. Stop being a jackass. Now, the arrogant part might not apply, but being a jackass can apply. So, we all say things and do things that are a little bit, jackassish. And Andre Ward proved that he's no exception to that rule. But Carl Froch is super, super, super consistent with it. Now, as far as what George Groves could have done, man, there's plenty that George Groves could do at 168 pounds, man. There's plenty that he could do at 168 pounds if he wanted to fight. And there are other fights that he could have in that division, right? Now, I will admit that I don't think necessarily that he's going to do, with the top tier guys like David Benavidez. I don't think he's going to beat David Benavidez. I don't know how much money there is in a fight with Callum Smith. But I think that would be a potential fight with him and Callum Smith. Callum Smith hasn't really shown that he's got the power really to just blast somebody out. More than likely, Callum Smith is going to box his ears off, though. And then, of course, you have Iskatigi is out of the way because of God dog. Did I say Callum Smith? I meant to say Caleb Plant. I said Callum Smith twice, I believe. But Caleb Plant, like there's Callum Smith. There's Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant is the guy that I talked about boxing his ears off. So that would be tough. Callum Smith would be tough. But he could make a U.S. debut against a guy that I think is looking pretty vulnerable these days, and that is Gilberto Ramirez. Gilberto Ramirez, Zurdo's been having some problems, man, as of late. Not looking very, very conditioned, very, very he's not had really dominant performance. I think it was the last fight he had is against Jesse Hart. I mean, in the rematch with Jesse Hart, that was a close fight, man. It was a good fight. It was a close fight. And, I just think that Zurdo might have, at one point in time, I thought Zurdo was the top 168 pounder. But, hey, man, but not anymore, man. So maybe George Groves could have went that way. There's also just good fights that he could have had as a second tier 168 pounder that would have been fun. I mean, he could maybe run it back with Rocky Fieldhand, what they call Rocky Fielding. But, all in all, I don't necessarily believe that once a fighter is can't contend for legitimately at the top of the sport with the top 4 or 5 guys, that means that the guy doesn't have anything left in the sport of boxing. I think Manny Pacquiao Pacquiao's in that situation at 147 pounds. There's a lot of guys that think he can compete with the top guys at 147, but I don't think he can. But, obviously George Groves doesn't have the popularity or the name recognition of a Manny Pacquiao. But, there could still be some left for him. But hey, man, if he's got his money right, and he wants to leave with his health intact, hey, man, nothing but, nothing. I wish him nothing but the best. Thank you for the great times, George Groves. One of the true class acts in UK boxing and boxing overall, along with Carl Froch. It just happens to be that Carl Froch is just a jerk, man. But at this point, I listened to Carl Froch make a statement about Anthony Joshua. And I was like, man, this dude's just a jerk to everybody, man. He's just constantly being snide, man. But at this point, man, if a guy says that, if he does it with damn near everything he says, it might not be that he's just hating on one in particular person. He's just got that funky, he's just got a funky, negative viewpoint on life, man. And what can you do? But anyway, it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.